Hello everyone, my name is Oscar Reyes and I'm a lead software engineer here at Tracetest. Tracetest is an OpenTelemetry based tool which allows you to run trace-based tests against the generated telemetry data from your distributed services. Today, we're going to be looking at our latest integration, TypeScript, which is going to enable teams to integrate trace-based testing with their already existing TypeScript or JavaScript testing pipelines. For this example, we're going to be using Oracle's reliable PogChop API demo, which is a fully instrumented Node.js distributed service. If you want to learn more about it, you can head to the docs and find it under the live example section. So I'm going to go to the docs, and if you go to live examples, you can find it over here, where you can have all of the details for you, including a system architecture diagram. The use case for today is that we want to become the best Pokemon trainer and catch all of the available Pokemons. But we don't want to be greedy, so we're going to be doing it by chunks of 5. For this, we want to know from which Pokemon to start and then import the next 5 or catch the next 5. We're going to be using the asynchronous process that is importing a Pokemon by ID from our PogChop API demo. But after adding it to our collection, we just get bored and we want to delete them from the database to finish the process. This is a 3-step process which will include fetching the starting point by getting it from the API, so from where do we want to start, then running a trace-based test to import the following 5 Pokemons and running a search against them, then executing a second set of trace-based tests to finally delete all of the imported Pokemons, so the list keeps to be clean. And at the end, we're going to be achieving this by using our TypeScript integration. So let's dive into the code. Okay, so here in the code editor, we can see we have an index.ts file, which is going to be first importing our latest or newest package for Tracetest, which is Tracetest client. And this, by importing this, we can create a new instance of it, which is going to be done through a function call where you can specify the API token graph from the Tracetest environment. Now, after this, what we want to do is get the last Pokemon ID from the API. By this, we're going to be using the standard fetch functionality to grab the latest one from the list and just get the latest index from the return items length. Next thing that we want to do is create the two trace-based tests that we're going to be using. The first one is the importing the Pokemon, and then deleting the Pokemons. If we go to the definition.ts file, we can see the JSON specification of the different tests that we're going to be executing for trace tests. So we can also take a look at the sneak peek to the specs or the outputs. This is really useful to have a JSON object or a JavaScript object to run this, because you can manipulate everything that happens within the resource, so you can generate your dynamic specs and outputs based on your needs. Next thing is actually running the import Pokemon function and delete Pokemon function. So the import Pokemon is going to be waiting for the trace-based test to finish. And then after finishing, it's going to be adding the ID from an output to put it into an array where we can delete the rest of the Pokemon that were imported afterwards. Last thing that we want to do, so just to go back a little bit, this can be done by using the run test functionality from the Tracetest instance, which is going to return the run, and then here you can wait for this to finish. And then the outputs and the entire run information will be available for you to manipulate. Last thing is running this function. So the import Pokemons just requires the initial one. So we go from this to the following 5. And then after this is done, we're going to be deleting the Pokemons that were imported. And in the middle of the steps, we're going to be showing or logging the summary of these tests, where we can see the links that we can follow to the Tracetest UI to see the full results in the Tracetest application. So if we go to Docker and we execute all of this, so let me just open it here. And if we run in the terminal, Docker compose up dash D. This will create the entire list of resources that are needed to execute this test, including the containerd version of the test that we just, or the code that we just looked at. If we open this and look at the logs, we can find everything that is happening within the script. First importing the Pokemons, then adding the Pokemons to the list, and then a summary after the first 5 tests are finished, where you can see the links and the results of each of them, and then finally deleting each Pokemon that was imported, and also showing the full list of results that happen within the two set of tests. So if we open this, we can go straight to the Tracetest UI and look at what happened. So we can see a specific execution that happened in the import Pokemon section. We can see the validate spans and the second half of the process, which is an asynchronous step that will be fetching the data from the Pokemon for a third-party service and then adding it to the database by using Postgres and Redis. So if we go back and we want to take a look at the delete Pokemon test, we can also see that. We can go to the test section. We can take a look at a different assertions that were executed against it. Some of them, one of them is that all of the database spans should take less than 100 milliseconds. And we can see the results of them. 2 milliseconds, 0, 1 millisecond, so all good, right? We can also have other types of assertions like the Pokemon that we want to be imported or the operation that we're expecting from the database, those sort of things. Even if you, next step, if you go to the Automate tab and look for the TypeScript integration section over here, you can even find a snippet on how you want, if you want to integrate this test with your CI/CD processes or import it to a TypeScript JavaScript script. So you copy this, it will give you the full definition of the tests, as well as how you can run it using the Tracetest instance by passing a token and then running the new test and run test similarly to what I showed you in the previous step, in the previous view of the code. So what are the next steps? Next steps is for you to give us feedback. We're always open for changes, and we're always striving to have the best developer experience or DevOps experience. And also you can join our community Slack channel where you can have access to the team at any point. So you can just send us a message, and we will be there for you to help you. And yes, thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.